Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Simone here. Today I'm going to be doing another collaboration video and as you can tell this video is going out on a day that I don't normally upload, but it was to coincide with Alex from Earnest Alex Reads, who I'm doing this collaboration with. I'm really excited. She deserves so many more subscribers than she has, and I would urge you all to go and check out her channel because I think she's amazing. She does a lot of the videos on BookTube that we all know and love. She does reviews, TBRs, she does readathons, unhauls, hauls, all that kind of thing. And honestly, she's just one of those people that is just very personable. And I just like to hear her talk about books. And yeah, I would urge you, like I said, to go and check out her channel because I think she deserves all the love. Today we've decided to do a video talking about what our rating system is. So how 5-star rating, we both do a 5-star rating system, and how that kind of works for us and what it means to give each of the star ratings. So I'm going to do that today. I've decided to kind of include a couple of examples of each one of those books that I have given those particular ratings and kind of why, so I can maybe explain it a bit better for you. But I'm going to start with 1 star and then I'm going to work my way up to 5-star, you know, leaving the best till last. But let's get started. So a 1-star rating for me obviously is my lowest rating. Now I do this a little bit differently, and there are 2 reasons why I might give a book a 1 star. I would give a book a 1 star if I get over 75% of the way through and I DNF it, because although I won't write a review on a book that I gave a 1 star, just because for me personally I don't think that that's particularly kind of a... You'll know if you watched my reading 1-star reviews of my favourite books that I don't like it when people don't finish a book and then write like a really long review about why they hated it. I will give it a 1 star personally, but that's just kind of almost for myself as well, but also because I did not like the book enough to continue finishing it, like to finish it. So, but only if I've read more than 75%, because otherwise I think, well, I can't really have that opinion, if that makes sense, because I haven't read enough of it. So one book that I did give a 1 star because I didn't finish it, but I did read over 75% of it, and actually I think I read like 85% of it maybe, was There But For There by Ali Smith. I couldn't get on with this book. I really didn't like the writing style, and to be honest with you, I just felt like it was a bit of a silly premise. It follows a man who goes to a dinner party and then essentially holes up in one of the rooms and refuses to come out, and he's there for ages. And yeah, I just really didn't understand the point of this book. I felt like it was very kind of contrived, and it wasn't for me. So I gave it a 1 star. Like I said, I didn't completely finish it, but I had given it a 1 star because of that. The other reason I would give a book a 1 star is because I finished it, but I hated it. And very rarely do I hate a book. There are not that many 1 stars that I give that are because I hate the book. But for one example of that was The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons, which I know I've talked about a lot on this channel. I felt like this book was very, very damaging, very, very inappropriate. I felt like it did a disservice to the history that it was talking about, and yeah, it really wasn't for me. Like I said, I have ranted about this book a lot of times before, but yeah, The Bronze Horseman was not a book that I would ever recommend to anyone, and yeah, gave that one a 1 star, and that wasn't because I didn't finish it. Like I said, I finished it and I hated it. So a 2-star book for me can again have 2 sort of sides to it, I guess. One of them is that the writing style really wasn't for me. I liked the story, but the writing just didn't work for me. Or that I felt like the story premise was good, but I felt like it went too far and it kind of got a bit silly. Generally is how that works. I think the kind of definition on Goodreads for a 2-star is it was okay, but I tend to kind of go down a little bit from that, and it be sort of, I'm probably not going to read from that author again as well, tends to be what a 2-star means. So one 2-star that I gave last year was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Now a lot of people really like this, and I do feel like maybe I'll try and read it again at some point in the future. But again, the reason I gave this one a 2-star was, as I said before, was to do with the writing style. I didn't enjoy the writing style of this book. I felt like it was very kind of, it had the typically classic, I think sometimes when you think of a classic book, you think of a certain writing style, and I don't particularly like that writing style, and for me that's what Frankenstein fell into. I didn't like the beginning part of it, which is like letters written between different people. I don't know, there was something about it I just really didn't enjoy. And although I really enjoyed the premise and I enjoyed the storyline of Frankenstein, and I think it's great that it's been able to inspire so many kind of retellings and things since it was written, and it was obviously one of the first, but like one of them, an amazing books, and it was written by a woman, which I think is great. But that didn't excuse the fact that to me I just didn't enjoy the writing style, and that, yeah, meant that I gave it a 2-star. Another book that I gave 2-star, which was more for the storyline, that I felt like kind of went too far and wasn't quite it just really wasn't that interesting to me, was A Monster Island by David Wellington, which again I read last year. And Monster Island for me was a 2-star because although I enjoy the zombie novel kind of premise of books, I felt like this one tried to be different, but it tried to be too different, and it just wasn't good. I didn't like the twists in it, and the way that they did it was just not my style. So yeah, again, it was a 2-star for me, but that's kind of what a 2-star means to me. A 3-star book for me is a book that I enjoyed and at the time of reading I really liked, but it has not stuck with me. It's not a story that I will remember. If I think back on it, I probably can't really remember too much about the actual details of the story, and it was okay, I guess, is probably where I was. It was good, it was okay. I didn't it's not one I'm going to remember. So one book that I gave a 3-star to was Just One Day by Gail Forman, which I think was, like I said, it was interesting as I read it. I wasn't bored reading it, but I do think looking back on it, it's quite a generic kind of romance, YA kind of book, and it's not one that I can like remember all of the details for, because it was okay, basically. It was a 3-star. Another 3-star that I gave was Christmas in Seattle by Debbie Macomber. Debbie Macomber is an author that I really like, but again, this one was one that I don't remember anything about. I think that it's kind of merged in with a lot of other kind of chick lit women's fiction type books, and it doesn't stand out to me. So it was a 3-star. Like I said, at the time of reading I really enjoyed it, but it just isn't one that's going to stick with me, and not one that I'm going to remember in the future. A 4-star for me tends to be a book that I really, really love, but one that there's something in it, like a small detail potentially, or something that just meant it wasn't quite a 5-star for me. I think all of the books I read, I really want them to be 5 stars, but sometimes there's just a few little elements that kind of knock it down a star. But this is kind of, a 4-star tends to be one that is memorable to me, and I do remember it, but it's one that is a book that I couldn't give 100% like love to, if that makes sense. So one book that I definitely gave a 4-star to was Three Blind Mice and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. This is actually the only Agatha Christie book I've ever read, and I do need to rectify that like ASAP. But for me, this one, there was something about this one that didn't quite get it to the end. I think this tends to happen a lot more for me with short stories, because the reason I tend to give most short stories, if I'm enjoying it a lot, a 4-star is because there are kind of 1 or 2 that I didn't love as much, and I think that is the case with this one. Three Blind Mice, the kind of title story, was amazing and I loved it, but I think one of the other stories wasn't as enjoyable for me. So again, it was a 4-star, but I definitely do want to read more by that author. Another one that I gave a 4-star to was The Red House by Mark Haddon, which is a very strange book. This is a book set over 7 days, and it has 7 chapters based on 1 chapter per day, and it basically is about a family whose mother has died, and the brother and sister have kind of brought their families together, and they decided to go on holiday. There was a lot of sexual references in this, which were very crude, and for me, the level of crude based on the fact that it was coming from somebody who was like 16 years old, that to me was a little bit strange, and I didn't enjoy that so much. So that was why I gave it a 4-star, because that knocked it down for me. But I was interested to keep reading, and I definitely want to read, is it The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, because I feel like his writing to me was really interesting. So it's definitely something that I would like to revisit his other books, or go back, read some of his other books, but it's not one that I would probably reread at this point either. And then a 5-star for me tends to be a book that really sticks with me. It's a book that I remember. It's a book that I would happily go back and reread. And it's just one that kind of gives me all those warm, cozy feelings, and it's one that I don't really have any negative feelings towards, so there's nothing that I could knock it down. It is the book, like the one. And I do give quite a few 5 stars, but I do tend to kind of go to 4-star as my probably the main book rating that I give as a 4. So the 2 examples I have for 5 stars. The first one is Private Berlin by James Patterson, which is the 4th book I think in the Private series, but you don't have to read them in any order. But Private Berlin is actually my favourite book of the series, and the series in general is one of my favourite series that I've read, and I really enjoyed Private Berlin. I think it was really kind of gritty and just very exciting, and everything kind of kept happening. There was no boring parts, and I really liked it. So yeah, for me that one was a great one, and it definitely deserved a 5-star. And then another one that I gave a 5-star to was The Secrets of Happiness by Lucy Diamond. Now this was actually my first Lucy Diamond book that I read, and I haven't actually read any more, but I do need to do that. But Lucy Diamond's book was just very it was very family orientated, and it made me feel very cozy when I was reading it, and I just really loved it. It was very interesting, and again it was a 5-star because I couldn't think of anything negative about it. It was a lot about sisterly relationships and things, and it was just a really great story. So yeah, that are my 5-star reads. And obviously, of course, we all know that all the Harry Potter books are 5-star. Also for the nostalgia, but honestly I think I'd give them a 5-star anyway. So there you have it, guys. That is my kind of take on what my 5-star rating means. Like I said, go and check out Alex's channel, because I'm sure she has very kind of some different opinions on what her rating system means to her, and I definitely think you should go and check her out. Like I said, go and send her some love and like her video and subscribe, because you definitely should. And also, if you like my video while you're here, you might as well subscribe as well. And I will see you again tomorrow for another video. Bye guys!